exit out and restart this live because my mic wasn't working the first time around for some reason, and I had like 7 minutes of dead space. So I am going to go ahead and get started. I'm just trying to make sure that, okay, everything's muted. All right, I'm up on Twitch. All right, let's go. Welcome to Patriots Corner Live with Dr. Hill Law, your source for unfiltered conservative analysis. We are here to dissect this week's biggest stories in politics and the economy, all from a grounded conservative perspective. No spin, just straight talk about what matters to you. Then we'll delve into the issues shaping our nation, hold our leaders accountable, and discuss and debate solutions that uphold our core American values. Now, if you're new here, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future streams and get notifications when we go live. For decades, we have been told that our institutions, while not perfect, are fundamentally sound, that the people inside the halls of power and the intelligence agencies and law enforcement are guided by facts and a commitment to this nation above all else. It's a nice thought. It's a narrative that helps us sleep at night. But for years, another story has been taking root. A much darker story. It's a story whispered about online and shouted on the talk radio, the story of a deep state, a shadow government of unelected bureaucrats and intelligence operatives who answer to nobody. Think of it like a ship's crew secretly steering the vessel against the captain's orders, all while the passengers have absolutely no idea what is going on. That story hit a fever pitch with the narrative of a presidency under siege. And it goes like this: a duly elected president, an outsider who promised to shake up the established order, was targeted from day one. The weapon wasn't a military force, but something far more sinister. Instead of a sword, the weapon was poison, a steady drip of false rumors and cooked-up intelligence designed to turn the country against its leader and overthrow that leader. The claim is that powerful people inside the CIA, it's no longer a claim, and the FBI, led by figures John Brennan and James Comey, cooked up phony intelligence, manipulated evidence, and conspired with President Trump's political enemies to frame the president of the United States as a Russian agent, which is exactly what they did. Now, they did it. We were told to overturn an election and pull off a silent coup. It is the ultimate story of betrayal. And for years, we were promised that if certain secret documents were ever declassified, the proof would be undeniable. It would be like finding the secret blueprints to a building, showing it was designed to fail from the start. Well, in 2025, those documents have finally seen the light of day thanks to President Trump's administration and his CIA director. The files are open, and tonight we do have the proof. And the truth it reveals is exactly the one we were promised, and the people who lied to us are precisely who you thought they would be. Now, you can catch Patriots Corner live 3 evenings a week on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, and Facebook. If you can't catch it live, you can listen to all the episodes on our Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio, approximately an hour to maybe the next morning after we air live, once I get a chance to upload it. And also, you can catch all of our lives and posts on our website at Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. That is Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. No underscores, no spaces, all together. Your engagement is crucial to the success of Patriots Corner. If you have a question or want to make a statement, please do so. I will review them at the end of each segment. As you can see, I don't have the screens to the side of me. I will read a few live and answer questions from respectful comments that foster intellectual debate. Your feedback is invaluable in this shaping of the discussion. Also, don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe to keep the conversation going and help us get further reach. No, with at least YouTube, I'm not for sure on Rumble, the more that people share, like, and comment, the further they send out your show. So please do that so we know that they're going out. And then I'm going to go to make sure I've got all of my messages up. All right. All my chats are up. All right. So for years, we have heard it from voices dismissed as conspiratorial. A cabal of rogue intelligence officials weaponized their power to invent the story of Russian collusion. It has fundamentally altered how millions of us view our government. And now the entire story, the narrative of the deep state coup, has been confirmed. The very documents that were kept hidden for years have finally been released thanks to President Trump and his administration, and they prove the conspiracy was real. Tonight, we're going to go to put the popular claims to the test against these declassified files themselves. Now, when we look at what a bombshell 2025 CIA Lessons Learned review says about the conduct of former leaders like John Brennan and James Comey, the proof is indeed undeniable, and it shows how the trust of millions, hundreds of millions, was betrayed by the very people claiming they were protecting the truth. Because this should be a bipartisan issue, not a partisan. Now, for our first segment, the first lie, the Russian story was a consensus. Now, let's start with the foundation. The entire official narrative is that the idea that the entire intelligence community came to the good faith conclusion that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump. We were told this was a unified assessment from all of our top agencies. That's a powerful claim if it were true. It would demand every citizen's attention, but what do the new documents actually say? The official assessment, declassified in January 2017, was titled Assessing Russian Activities and Intentions in Recent U.S. Elections. It was presented as an Intelligence Community Assessment, or ICA. This was meant to give it the weight of consensus, suggesting the CIA, FBI, and NSA and all the alphabet soup intelligence agencies had come to the same conclusion independently. But that was the first deception. It was like a jury foreman declaring a unanimous verdict when in reality he had pressured the other jurors into agreeing with him. Now, the recently declassified internal reviews from 2025 have blown the lid off of this, revealing the process was corrupted from the top down. A stunning lessons learned review from within the CIA found the ICA's creation was rushed, full of procedural anomalies, and that officials like CIA Director John Brennan diverted from normal intelligence standards to achieve a predetermined outcome. Now, also, the guy who actually put this report together is not a partisan. He's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He is a lifelong bureaucrat. This guy has served Republicans and Democrats alike. So this is not a partisan report. This is just a straight to the truth report that the partisanship of the leaders of the CIA had stopped from coming out. So the new documents revealed that Brennan, along with FBI Director James Comey, were the architects of the narrative. They drove the process, and now both are reportedly the subjects of they're both actually the subject of criminal investigations for their roles. Two sources have even described the FBI's current view of their actions as a conspiracy. That would be a conspiracy to overthrow a duly elected president. That is some major charges. And honestly, if we put it back to the old time, that is punishable by death, whether it's during wartime or not. Period. So what did this manipulated report claim? It stated with high confidence that Vladimir Putin had ordered an influence campaign to harm Hillary Clinton and help Donald Trump. But we know this high confidence was not a reflection of the raw intelligence. It was like a weather forecaster predicting sunshine with high confidence, not because the data supports it, but because he was paid to promote an outdoor festival. It was the political will of those in charge. This is the first piece of proof from the new record. The claim that the Russia story was a consensus finding is false. It was a narrative forced onto the intelligence community by its leaders, particularly John Brennan. The lie wasn't just in the report. The lie was the report itself. Now, as we come to the end of our first segment, I would like to remind you to please like, comment, follow, or hit the subscribe button so you won't miss future episodes. Also, I will now take any questions and reply to a few comments before starting the next segment. Please don't forget to check out our website, Patriots Corner with DrLaw.com. That is Patriots Corner with DrLaw.com. You can sign up for free access to our weekly blog, receive notifications about our next live show, and hit the subscribe button, which takes you to our locals community. There you can support the show, gain access to extra content, and participate in one-on-one discussions. I don't see any. You got to be kidding me. It won't. Why are you telling me it wouldn't let me go to? Okay. I'm trying to make sure how long I've been in this. Sorry about this, guys. I was trying to make sure. It looks like my Rumble a minute ago is working. But I'm just trying to make sure that it's up to. Okay, good. It's working. All right, that's all I wanted to make sure. Sorry about that. I was trying to make sure. It looked like my Rumble wasn't live. I just wanted to make sure it's live. It is showing I'm live now. All right. Don't see any comments yet, so I'll go ahead and get on to segment 2. Now, the second lie, the Steele dossier was a sideshow. Now, if you followed this at all, you've heard about the Steele dossier. For years, defenders of the investigation have claimed this dossier was just a minor irrelevant sideshow, a collection of bizarre and unverified dirt that had nothing to do with the official investigation. But again, the declassified documents from 2025 paint a totally different and far more sinister picture. First, what was the Steele dossier? It was political opposition research funded by political opponents of the president, specifically Hillary Clinton. That much is true, but the lie was it was kept separate from the official intelligence. The newly declassified CIA review for 2025 explicitly states that the decision by agency heads, namely John Brennan, to include the Steele dossier in the official briefing to a sitting president ran counter to fundamental tradecraft principles. For an intelligence officer, using the dossier this way is like a surgeon using a rusty, unsterilized scalpel in the operating room. It's a flagrant violation of the basic rules designed to prevent disaster. This was the key to the whole operation. The dossier, which is salacious and unproven claims, was used as the pretext to legitimize the investigation and critically to secure FISA surveillance warrants against an American citizen, Carter Page. The 2019 Inspector General report confirmed the dossier played a central and essential role in getting those warrants. It was like using a forged deed to get a search warrant for someone's home. The entire operation becomes illegitimate because its foundation was a lie. Even worse, newly classified footnotes from the Inspector General's report show the FBI knew early on that Steele's reporting could be part of a Russian disinformation campaign. So this so-called Russian hoax, the only Russian part about it was Russian disinformation to try to keep President Trump out, showing that the Russians did not want President Trump want Donald Trump to become president. Shows that they did not want him to be it. Not that they wanted him to be it. It's a disinformation, not a information campaign. So once again, we are seeing how far the deep state, democratic, globalist leftist will go to get their socialist America that is not the America we know. And there's not the America that so many have bled and died for. Now, they were warned, but they used it anyway. This is like a detective being told that his star witness is a known liar by the mob, paid by the mob, but using his testimony to lock someone up anyway. So the dossier was never a sideshow. It was the linchpin. The whole official story was a house of cards, and the dossier was the card at the very bottom holding it all up. It was the dirty work not only injected in the official process by men like Brennan and Comey to give their political operation the appearance of a legitimate national security investigation. It was never a legitimate national security investigation. Never. Now, as we come to the end of our second segment, I would like to remind you to please like, comment, follow, or hit the subscribe button so you won't miss future episodes. Also, I will now take any questions, reply to a few comments before starting the next segment. Please don't forget to check out our website at Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. That's all one word, Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. You can sign up for free access to our weekly blog, receive notifications about our next live show, and hit the subscribe button, which takes you to our locals community. There you can support the show, gain access to extra content, and participate in one-on-one discussions. Now, still not really seeing any don't see anything yet as far as chats. I've had 3 people on Rumble, but no messages on Rumble yet. So, and then we've got nothing there on. Don't see anything else on my stream manager for that. 1 viewer. Don't see anything else. Okay, chat room. All right. What in the world? Why did it start? All right, let's get started with section 3, the third line. Official investigations found no conspiracy. Now, the next part of the story focused on the big investigations. We were told repeatedly that official reviews found no proof of a conspiracy. The DOJ's Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, was held up as the final word. The lie was that these official reviews exonerated the leadership. The truth is they were simply incomplete, and what they did find pointed to a much darker reality. Inspector General Horowitz's 2019 report did find at least 17 significant errors or omissions in the FISA applications, a process full of inexcusable sloppiness. Now, at the time, this was spun as malpractice, not malice. The report stated it did not find documentary or testimonial evidence that political bias or improper motivation influenced the decisions to open the case. But that was only because they didn't have the full picture. It's like finding a few typos in a company's financial records and calling it sloppy accounting. But then with the new documents, you discover the accountant's secret ledger providing those typos or deliberate changes to hide embezzlement. The sloppiness was just a cover for the crime. The 2025 declassifications reveal the why behind the what. The errors and omissions Horowitz found were just sloppiness. They were part of the deception. Special counsel John Durham's report, while limited in its prosecutorial power, was even more blunt, concluding the FBI lacked actual evidence and acted on raw, unanalyzed, and uncorroborated intelligence. Durham stated the FBI failed to uphold their important mission of strict fidelity to the law, which you didn't hear a lot of this stuff that Durham said, and the end of the thing. This came out during the end of President Trump's term, beginning of Biden's term, so you never even really heard about it unless you were a conservative or really pay attention to politics. You never heard exactly what they said because the majority of the mainstream media did not play it because it did not go with their agenda of Trump bad, Orange Man bad. Since it didn't go with their Orange Man bad narrative, they didn't carry it. If they carried it, it was 20 pages. It was at very end of the page, less than 2 paragraphs, and size like 6 font. So even the much touted Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee report, which claimed the 2017 ICA was well constructed, was based on the incomplete and manipulated information provided by Brennan's CIA and Comey's FBI. They were like food critics giving a rave review to a cake, not knowing the baker secretly used poison instead of sugar. Their review was honest, but the product they were examining was a fraud from the start. The proof is this. The early investigations found all the hallmarks of a conspiracy: doctored evidence, reliance on phony intelligence, and a pattern of abuse. But only now, with the 2025 declassification, do we have the final direct proof of intent from the top. The lie was claiming incompetence when the evidence now proves it was conspiracy. Now, as we come to the end of our third segment, look, we are digging deep into documents that were intentionally hidden to protect the powerful. It's hard work to unravel a lie this big, especially when it was told by people we were supposed to trust. If you believe this kind of real analysis is important, if you think the actual truth matters, then take a second to hit the subscribe, like, and share button and turn on notifications. We're committed to breaking down these complex stories, showing you the actual evidence, and respecting your intelligence enough to let you make up your own mind. By subscribing, you help us continue that mission. Don't forget to check out Patriots Corner with drhillelaw.com. That is Patriots Corner with drhillelaw.com, all one word. You can sign up for free access to our weekly blog, receive notifications about our next live show, and hit the subscribe button, which takes you to our local communities. There you can support the show, gain access to extra content, and participate in the one-on-one discussions. Now let's get back to the final lie. Segment 4, the lie of persecution and the real betrayal. The final lie is the one that protected the powerful for so long. The idea that top officials like former FBI Director James Comey and former CIA Director John Brennan were patriots, and that calls for their prosecution were nothing more than political persecution. This claim turned a criminal conspiracy into a political disagreement. But what's the reality now? This has nothing to do with political disagreement. This was a sheer and blatant attempt to overturn a duly elected president, to go against pretty much telling the American people, you don't know what you want or what you need. You don't know what is needed for you. President Trump is too big of a threat to our globalist worldview agenda, to our socialist communist agenda of changing America, because we can do socialism better. Nobody's truly done socialism. Bullshit. Marx tried socialism. Mao tried socialism. Even Nazi Germany tried socialism in the beginning. But every socialist nation for the last 100 years or whatever, they all start out socialism, they turn into dictatorships. They don't work, they fail. At first they sound all nice and great, and then it doesn't look so great unless you're at the very top. And as that gap even gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you think our wealth gap is big now. Wait until we become a socialist nation. It'll be even larger than that. So it is about time that the CIA, while yes, I know a lot of people were disappointed because they did not get we haven't gotten all the information that has come out on the issue with the Epstein files and stuff. And everybody goes, well, how did they convict the one person? Well, if they had a bunch of pictures of that person of CP and that person in those pictures, that's enough to convict them. They didn't bring in any other charge anybody else with it, bring any other type of evidence for anybody else in there. It was just that person and the people who came in and spoke against that person that were victims. So maybe it has to do with something that's protecting famous people. Maybe it has to do with something they were a double agent. Maybe there wasn't really a list that people thought there was. Maybe some people who weren't actually within the FBI, CIA, all that, the DOJ got a little bit ahead of themselves promising stuff that they didn't know was there. And then once they got there, found out that it's not there. Now, whether it was taken by the previous administration and hidden, whether it's been destroyed, who knows? But at least this part has come true to prove that President Trump that we have witnessed the worst cabal, the worst threat to our democracy in over almost 250 years, that the head of the CIA and the head of the FBI used fake intelligence to try to force the impeachment of a duly elected president and to tie him up with so much for the first 2 years that he really couldn't even get any of his promises done, campaign promises, because they were so afraid of him setting back their socialist agenda 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And I will say almost any show that I do on this, I'm going to get to that point is they don't hate Trump because they're afraid that he's bad for democracy. They hate Trump because they know he's great for democracy, that he is great for our constitutional republic, and that he will save our republic. They hate him because they know he will set their socialist, leftist, green scam agenda back. Now, with the 2025 declassification, the script is flipped. As of today, both Brennan and Comey are under criminal investigation for their actions. DOJ sources have confirmed the probes are active, with some inside the FBI allegedly viewing their interactions as a conspiracy. This isn't political persecution. It's a bank robber caught on camera with a bag of money, claiming he's been targeted for his political beliefs. It's the justice system finally acting on evidence that has been suppressed for years. This brings us to the heart of it. If the documents now prove a coup, if the dossier was the weapon, and if the leaders of the plot are now under criminal investigation, then we must face the real betrayal. The evidence shows the lie was the entire Russian collusion narrative. Invented and pushed by the highest levels of our intelligence agencies, this narrative is the true act of treason against the American public and people, an attack on the very foundations of our constitutional republic. A republic cannot survive if its citizens are systematically lied to by the very officials sworn to protect them. It's like dissolving the mortar between the bricks of a building. The structure has been critically weakened and is ready to collapse. The betrayal is that political figures like Brennan and Comey and their allies lied to the American people about a sitting president and by extension to the American people. They took the awesome power of the state, the power to spy and investigate, and twisted it into a weapon to advance a political agenda. They sold a conspiracy theory as fact, and in doing so have done profound damage to our country. And they wonder why people don't believe anything now when everybody says the Jeffrey Epstein thing, it's a nothing burger. There's no proof, there's no list or anything. Thanks to the left and Brennan and Comey, of course, nobody's going to believe them. Because when all this got uncovered years later, of course, nobody's going to believe it now. Because that's how much this is destroyed our republic and threatened our constitutional republic. Because it was literally the most treasonous act we've seen ever in our 249 years. I mean, this narrative convinced millions that a duly elected president was a foreign agent, destroying the idea of a shared fact-based reality and making rational debate impossible. This is the ultimate goal of such an attack, to burn down trust in our democratic institutions so that the arsonists can be the only ones you trust to save you from the fire. So now, as we come to the end of our show, I would like to remind you, so you won't miss future episodes. Also, I will now take any questions and reply to a few comments. Before you start the next segment, don't forget to check out Patriots Corner at drhill.com. That is Patriots Corner with drhill.com, all one word. You can sign up for free access to our weekly blog, receive notifications about our next live show, and hit the subscribe button, which takes you to our locals community. There you can support the show, gain access to extra content, and participate in one-on-one discussions. Now, before I get to the conclusions part, I could go on and on and on and on for hours and hours about all the stuff that has gone on over the last couple of years, that this show does so much to prove, that this declassification of this CIA came out does to prove. Well, a lot of people are saying, oh, why are we still talking about this? Like when I posted earlier, why are we still talking about this? Because the fact is, this is new information. This is new showing of proof that the conservatives were right the whole time. That we were right, that President Trump was innocent, that he was not a Russian agent, that he was not supporting for Russia, that he is an American, only for America. And actually, it proves that the Russians didn't want him elected, that they wanted to give this information to make him look like that so nobody would elect him, because they don't want him there. They don't want him in power. But ever since President Trump ran for office, somebody was an outsider who was not a part of who's not a Washington insider, came in, and it is a powerful enough position to threaten the globalists because they can't control him, because he's a billionaire himself, so he's not bought, he's not paid for. Anybody who's donated his campaign knows that he's not going to give them anything. He's proven that with Elon Musk. If you could buy his vote, then Elon Musk would have gotten everything he wanted, including the EV mandates and EV deductions tax credit deductions would have stayed in the tax bill, but they didn't. He would have gotten the contract for the FFA for Starlink. The FAA for Starlink. His nominee for the director of the FAA, that would have happened. He didn't get any of that stuff. So President Trump has proven that he can't be bought, and that's why the globalists hate him. That's why they can't stand him. That's why they don't want him in power. He has nothing to do with him being a Nazi or him being a dictator or him being anything. It has to do with the fact that they're afraid that he will actually take this country more back towards its constitutional republic views and rights, and expand our freedoms versus retracting our freedoms. Remember, it was the Democrats and the people, James Comey and all them, who perpetuated locking you up, making you stay at home, and you weren't even allowed to go to church during COVID. Not President Trump. It was the Democrats who were literally having people arrested for speaking out when it had to do with stuff with masks and COVID. Not President Trump or the Republicans. It's been the Democrats. So they can say what they want, but that is why they're doing it. It has nothing to do with it. It is why Iran has been able to get this anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas rhetoric all into our country and dividing us even more. And it feels like the Democrats, they're so scared of losing hold on power and so scared of their socialist agenda being set back nationally, maybe not individual state-wise, because obviously you got a socialist communist being nominated for mayor of New York City. You would think he thinks he's going to become king or something, because he said he's going to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu, which, I'm sorry, but Benjamin Netanyahu has diplomatic immunity. The only person that removed the diplomatic immunity is the State Department, and the State Department can only do that with the approval of the president. So if he tries to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu, he's going to get arrested. Does he not even understand our American government, form of government? I would be surprised if he does, considering his dad teaches Marxism at Columbia University, and this kid could not even get accepted to Columbia. You have really got to fail bad. you have got to bomb the SATs when you're considered a legacy because your parents worked there that you can't even get. I mean, that's just sad. Really, 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 really sad. And he wants to be y'all want him as the mayor? Really? And he can't even get in Columbia? I got offers to go to Columbia. And I don't even check any of the boxes. So, I mean, come on, people. Give it up. Okay, so the new reality. So where does that leave us? We were promised proof of a lie, and we found it. We were told for years that the deep state's conspiracy was a dangerous fantasy, but an honest look at the documents declassified in 2025 shows something else entirely. It shows the core claims of that conspiracy are now supported by evidence. The intelligence community was not unified. It was manipulated from the top. The Steele dossier was not a sideshow. It was the foundation of the fraud. And official inquiries, which once stopped at finding of sloppiness, now appear to have been the first layer of a cover-up for a politically motivated criminal conspiracy that honestly, from what stuff I saw today, goes all the way back to President Obama. Not just Hillary Clinton, but goes back to the previous president before the 2016 campaign. The lie we were told was the official story itself. It was a masterfully crafted hoax that preyed on the trust in our institutions. The betrayal wasn't from a shadowy cabal we couldn't name. The betrayal came from the leaders of the CIA and the FBI, men like John Brennan and James Comey, who sold this fiction as truth. It's like discovering the security guards you hired to protect your home were the very people who unlocked the back door for the burglars. The reality we have to face is a tough one. It means accepting that our most powerful institutions were captured and weaponized by political actors. They need constant, aggressive oversight and fundamental reform. We should never trust them blindly again, and we must recognize that the individuals responsible for this campaign of deception must be held accountable. The only defense against this is to be smarter than they think we are. It is to do what we did here tonight, to demand the actual proof, to look at the primary sources for ourselves, and to separate documented facts from official stories. It's like learning to read the list of ingredients on the package instead of just believing the all-natural claim on the front of the box. That goes to y'all Democrats out there who just believe anything somebody tells them instead of actually doing the research for themselves, or believes any little 3-second clip, 2-second clip on social media without actually getting the full context behind the truth. Open your mind. Quit acting off of emotion and feeling, and act off of logic and intelligence. The truth is finally out there. It's in the declassified memos and the new criminal probes. It's not simple, but fighting for it is one of the most important things we can do as citizens, because if we lose the ability to hold the powerful accountable for their lies, we have already lost. So please join us every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday evening. Current times are not set exactly, so please subscribe or follow and sign up on our website at patriotscorner.drhillelaw.com to receive notifications every time we go live. Each episode will be available live on Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. If you can't catch it live, you can catch the replay on all those or listen to it on Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. I still have not seen really much comments or anything. I do see that we had 5 people in Rumble, but it looks like it's down to 4. So I don't see any comments in the Rumble or the